Greetings, dear viewers. I'm Quill Quickcard, and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo, where we continue along the route to getting to know, and perhaps romancing, the strange and aloof Reen. The time is somewhere between 11:06 and 11:07, as my watch doesn't have a hand to show seconds. It's the old-fashioned kind with a black leather strap and titanium casing. It doesn't look flashy, but a wristwatch doesn't need to. Hey, remember that sketch you made of me? How you said I looked grim and gloomy or something? I'd like to know what you meant by that. She gives me a weird look and tilts her head a few degrees to the left, but doesn't say anything for a while. Well, you see, we've known each other for 2 weeks, and I haven't seen you smile even once. Her striking observation gives me pause. Have I stopped smiling? I have to take what she says as truth. She has no reason to lie. Something about the way she puts it annoys me. I frown at Reen, then try to correct my expression to look less depressed. I haven't been in the cheeriest of moods during the past few months or so. This is true. Does it show so much that someone like Reen can tell after so little contact with me? Should I try to smile more at Reen? Maybe she could appreciate it having such a neutral face herself almost all the time. Have I really stopped smiling? I see. Should I smile more? I don't mind either way. Be as you are. You can't help being Hisao anyway. But it bothers you? I just noticed it. That's all. Emmy skips along the hallway, jumps to a sharp stop when she reaches us, and lightly pats Reen's shoulder. Ready for lunch? Depends on what the lunch is today. Remember that stew from March? Never again that. Let's go anyway. I'm starving. I feel like that one's too close to my Misha. As they are about to depart, Emmy turns from her friend to me, seemingly as an afterthought, and smiles charmingly. Ah! There's the yawn! Why? How? Darn you, game! By the way, Hisao. Her tone is way too sweet and soft to be sincere. I can sense the trap about to be sprung upon me by this miniature health devil. I know what she's about to say even before she continues, because I've been trying to avoid her all week. I still haven't seen you at the track this entire week. Maybe I've been there when you haven't. That's impossible. I'm there all the time. But you sleep and go to class. I do those at the same time as you do. Yeah, I know. I just haven't been able to pick myself up. Don't rat me out to the nurse, okay? Running just isn't my thing, and I haven't come up with a good alternative. Why don't you come to the track, the meet this weekend? Maybe you'll get inspired. Track meet? Yeah. People from a few other schools come here for some friendly track and field action. It's on Sunday afternoon. I can't think of any reason not to go. Sure, I'll come and cheer for you. I guess you'll be running? Of course! You'll get to see me beat them all. But bye now. If I don't get something to eat, I'll die. See you later. Bye, Reen. I promise I'll smile next time. I call after her, as a bit of an afterthought. Afterward, I feel embarrassed about it. I wonder why I said anything at all. That night, when I'm doubly certain that Kenji won't be barging in the bathroom, I look in the mirror and smile at my reflection. The me in the mirror smiling at me in the bathroom looks awfully fake. Poor guy. Having exhausted the books Kenji lent me in just a few nights, I go back to the library, deeming it a safer alternative for getting my reading fix. I return the books he had stolen while I'm at it, to Yuka's delight. I don't tell her where I got them, though. Wow, you sure read a lot, don't you? Yeah, I guess I do. I mean, I do. Even I think it's weird. I think I might have a reading problem. Maybe I'm a junkie. No. I didn't mean it that way. It's not weird at all. And being addicted to reading is a lot better than being addicted to something else. Yeah, I know. It was a joke. I smile at her reassuringly and drop the books on the counter so Yuka can check them out. I feel tired, so I sit down in the vacant chair in front of her desk. While Yuka goes through the modest pile of reading material I found, I let my gaze wander around the library. At the tables, a pair of girls is chattering in hushed tones rather than working on their homework. The short-haired one notices me looking in their direction and waves at me. When I raise my hand back, they glance at each other and giggle in unison. The giggles of social awkwardness. The most deadly of weapons. Not sure how I should feel about that, so I decide it's a good thing. The one who waved at me has a horrible case of epilepsy. I saw her having an attack a few days ago. It's one of the most disturbing and scary things I've seen in a very long time. Yet, there she is, happily chirping away about whatever, as if she doesn't have a care in the world. Yeah, this school is really something else. Yuko raises her eyes from the book she was going through, slightly startled. She adjusts her glasses and puts on a nervous, confused smile. What do you mean? I don't really know how to explain it. It's just that everyone's so active, or how should I put it? It's not just the festival thing, I think, even though I haven't been here that long, but it's everything. People talk more, work harder, and just are more than in any other school I've seen before. I'm struggling for words, but it feels like I'm speaking honestly. The school feels so alive. Do I have an important decision to make here? Must consult the flowchart. Not really. Gotta be careful with the flowcharts, you know. It's refreshing. Sure, there were some people like this in my old school too, but not as many. And it feels more intense somehow. I think if I had to pin it down to one thing, that the students here really appreciate going to school. I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah, me neither. Suddenly, I realize that I've just been babbling my thoughts to Yuko out of the blue. She's a bit of a jumpy person, so I fear I may have made a bad impression. She's looking at me with what I hope is curiosity rather than horror, so I figure she's alright. Sorry for suddenly talking about weird stuff like this. I didn't mean to trouble you. Oh no, it's not troubling. I'm happy to listen if you feel like talking. It makes me feel a little reliable too. Yuko smiles sweetly, and a little bit ironically at that. I respond with a thankful smile of my own. As she pushes the neat stack of books across the counter, I stand up and gather them in my arms. Here you are. Thank you. I guess we'll be meeting each other again. Please come here anytime. Yuko's kindness is heartwarming. You can count on it. See you later. And another day passes. The morning of the track meet greets me with a brilliant sunshine from a crystal blue sky. While I leisurely stroll towards the track, I decide this is a good sign. Of what, I'm not sure. This event isn't as exciting for me as it seems to be for a large portion of the student body. I'm even less interested in watching sports than I am in participating, but cheering for Emmy is a good cause. I'm not expecting this to be any sort of amazing and spectacular experience, but it can't hurt. I'd probably be spending the time reading while cooped up in my room otherwise. When I approach the bleachers, I spot Reen emerging from the crowd right before she spots me. You came. Of course. I said I would, didn't I? That doesn't necessarily imply that you had to follow through. Lots of people say things and don't mean them. Well, I don't. Reen shrugs. Seemingly bored with our conversation, she turns on her heel and heads back toward the stands. So, are you excited about this? Not really. Me neither. Then why did you come? Why did you? She doesn't reply at all, so I decide not to either. We enter the bleachers, and Reen nods upwards. Up there. Reen leads the way, and soon we've settled down on an almost empty bench. There's an older woman sitting next to Reen. Someone's mother, I assume. She's got rather long hair done up in a braid. On seeing Reen, she gives her an oddly familiar-seeming grin. Well, this is surprising. I thought you went to get a snack, not a boy. Huh? This is no good? The woman laughs at Reen and shakes her head, apparently unable to find a comeback for that. I know the feeling. Well, I suppose you've always been one to go out for one thing and bring back another. But I'm being rude. I haven't introduced myself. I'm Meiko Ibarazaki. I'm sure that if you know this girl, you've at least met my daughter, too. Pleased to meet you. Well, that explains it. She's like a taller, older, more motherly Emmy. Apart from her hair being somewhat darker than her daughter's, there's really no mistaking the resemblance. Sorry, I'm Hisao. Hisao Nakai. Nice to meet you. I'm Rin Tezuka. Miss Ibarazaki laughs again, She really does resemble her offspring, and then leans back a little on her seat and raises an eyebrow. So, now that we all know each other, how long have you and Reen been dating? Okay, I'm starting to realize that I actually kind of like doing my ara voice. It's a very pleasant voice to do. My response consists of silence as my brain suddenly lurches into gear. But just before I could begin to utter a hastily babbled explanation, Amy's mother bursts into laughter again. You're a blusher, aren't you? I don't know if there's any way to keep my dignity in this situation, so I settle for a mumbled response. We're not... I know, but it's funny to watch you squirm. I'm sorry. Forgive an old woman her amusements. Oh, please. Older my ass. She chuckles again to herself. Old woman? She sure doesn't look that old to me. I suppose I can let it go. How kind of you. It's starting. I direct my attention to the track, where they're preparing for the first sprint. It looks like the 400-meter dash. My eyes scan the runners before finding Emmy. She's smiling, with an almost cocky look on her face. The starter raises his pistol. Emmy explodes off the block, disappearing from the starting line in a blur. It's amazing. Even as the other sprinters converge on the lanes closest to the inside line, Emmy surges to the front of the pack. By the time she rounds the final turn, a few of the other runners have caught up with her. But she puts on a final burst of speed that leaves them at least half a second behind. Mrs. Ibarazaki whoops and shouts, applauding wildly, and generally looking like any other parent cheering on their child. Emmy bounds off the track, looking pleased with herself. I cheer right along with the rest of them. The announcer, sounding suspiciously like Misha, gleefully gives the results. I think she's gotten faster since the last time. That was incredible. Mrs. Ibarazaki grins proudly. Emmy is a heck of a runner. We fall silent as the next event prepares to start. I'm surprised to see Emmy striding out onto the track again. Wait, didn't she just run? Emmy's mother nods. Yes, but she runs multiple events for the team, especially the sprints. It's a lot of running, but Emmy can handle it. From the looks of things, she's right. Emmy doesn't appear to be tired, as if she hadn't run the previous event at all. If not for the sweat visible on her shirt, you'd never know. Which event is this? It's the 200-meter dash. She'll do this one, the 100-meter, and the relay. I see. Once again, the pistol sounds, and once again Emmy flies off the block. A thumping sound draws my attention away from the race. It's Reen's foot. She seems completely absorbed in the race. Emmy's mother cheers again, and I assume that the race is over. Sprints don't seem to me like they'd take very long to complete. Your foot. Your foot was bouncing on the bleachers. Oh. You seem pretty into this stuff. I'm surprised. I thought you said this wouldn't be exciting. I suppose you're right. It's not that interesting. But I'm watching Emmy, not the sport. I don't follow. Emmy is the most Emmy when she runs. You don't get to see Emmy at her Emmyest very often. But here you can. See? She directs my attention toward the track again, where the 100-meter dash is about to start. I watch Emmy closely. As she gets onto the starter block, her whole body seems to relax, but it's a false relaxation. I can see that she's actually like a coiled spring. As the starter tells everyone to get set, her head snaps up and her eyes narrow slightly. Her mouth curls upward, and what could be a grin and could be a growl. When the pistol goes off, it's as if she's been unleashed from a cage, like she was always moving at this blinding speed, but we couldn't see it happening until the starter's pistol dispelled the illusion of motionlessness. As soon as she crossed the finish line, the fierce look was replaced by her normal grin. The conquering general returning to his farm. Amazing. She's really amazing. I've never seen someone move that fast. Well, don't look at me. I'm far too relaxed to run that fast. No, I think Emmy's prowess all came from her father's side. At the mention of Emmy's father, Mrs. Ibarazaki looks wistful, almost sad. He got her into running, you know. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I leave it at that, and don't say anything for a little while. I get the feeling this is something personal I shouldn't ask about. A beeping noise suddenly emanates from Mrs. Ibarazaki's pocket. Reaching into it, she pulls out a cell phone and looks at it. Honestly, text messages? What is he, 16? Nothing. I've got to go meet up with a friend of mine. Will you tell Emmy I'm very proud of her and that I'll call her tonight? Of course. While waiting for the relay to start, I peer at Reen. She seems uninterested in her surroundings, myself included. That remark she made before is still stuck in my head. Emmy's the most Emmy when she runs. It does make sense now that I think about it. After seeing her run now, I can believe that Emmy gives her all on the track. Sports are more than a hobby or even a competition to her. They're a defining aspect of her life. What about Reen then? Does she feel the same way about art? Considering the persistence she displayed before the festival, I could easily believe it. Did I see Reen at her most Reen when she was painting the mural? The relay's about to begin, but I don't see Emmy anywhere. I thought Emmy ran the relay. She runs at anger. So she won't be running for a while yet. Ah. Did you see it? Huh? Emmy at her Emmyest. Maybe. Maybe this time. The race begins, and I cheer Emmy's teammates along as they pass the baton. Finally, I see Emmy sprinting onto the track to take the final handoff. Once again, I'm taken aback by how graceful she looks when she runs. It really is beautiful. The look of determination and fearlessness on her face only adds to the picture. Emmy at her Emmyest, I suppose. Emmy flies across the finishing line with a great leap, just barely ahead of the next runners, but still in first. Yeah. Damn yawn. And judging from this picture, she also dropped her baton. Well, let's go down. Gotta crown the victor. See if you can find a laurel branch. That's not going to be easy. Green shrugs. At least we tried. Emmy is surrounded by her teammates, all of them congratulating her on the run. Reen seems to be waiting for Emmy to notice that she's arrived. Doesn't seem her style to draw attention to herself, or to emote beyond shrugging. Being more impatient than Reen, I wave to Emmy in her stead. She looks up and grins happily at us. Hey, you showed up! We would have brought you a crown of laurels, but Isao couldn't find one. Neither did you. It wasn't my job to look. When did we assign jobs? When I said, see if you can find a laurel branch. Try to keep up. I shrug. Guess Reen's rubbing off on me. Seems it's my fault after all, Emmy. Emmy laughs at Reen and me. It's okay. I'm sure you'll make it up to me somehow. Sure. Good. So, how'd I look? Very impressive. Emmy seems pleased with this assessment. I don't mention how much more impressive her performance is given her lack of legs. I figure she knows that already. Besides, it seems like it would take away from her efforts somehow. Great to hear. I was worried that I looked a little slow on the relay, but I guess I did fine, huh? Emmy giggles, and then seems to remember something. Oh, before I forget, Reen and I are going to do something next Sunday as a post-track meet celebration. You should come along. Normally we do it the day after, but since today is Sunday, I've got homework and class and all that stuff to take care of. Oh, sure, I'd love to. Great, it's a promise then. Oh, right. Your mom wanted to say she's proud of you. She'll call you later tonight. I thought I saw her in the stands. I'm glad she made it. Hey, Emmy, you're going to miss the medal ceremony. Oh yeah, thanks. She turns to Reen and myself. You don't have to stick around for this part. It takes forever. Besides, you should get cracking on your homework now if you don't want to be up late, Hisao. Emmy skips back to her teammates, leaving me and Reen by ourselves. Neither of us has the slightest interest in the post-competition ceremonies, so we silently get away and back to the quad. Reen yawns without even trying to restrain herself and shuffles her feet around restlessly. I feel awkward, but less so than if I was with someone else. Still, I'm left hanging, not knowing what I should say next. Emmy was great, wasn't she? She was great. I am very jealous of her. Why? Like I said, Don't you think it's great to be able to really be yourself? Sounds weird coming from Rain. I don't think you, of all people, should have any trouble finding a way to express yourself. Don't you have your paintings? She turns to look at me. For the first time, I see in her eyes this strange, hollow expression that I think must be unique to her. No, you see, the problem is that I'm not really sure who I am. I can relate to a person being the most themselves doing something they love. That's honestly how I feel when I'm doing my games. It brings something out of me. It just feels alive. Today's art club meeting is currently on hold while everyone waits for Yamiya to show up. I take this time to try and explain my theory about Yamaku Doreen. I've tried to figure out what exactly about the school feels so special to me. That concept I unsuccessfully tried to explain to Yuko the other day. It's still difficult, but the track meet and the time I've spent observing my fellow students have helped my ideas mature a little. Have you noticed that people talk all the time? I can't really explain it, but once again, as I try to explain my observation, I'm struggling for words. The student body is heavily clipped, and I'm only now beginning to make sense of the intricate grouping and popularity networks. And yet, the feeling of being a part of a group is stronger here than I remember it being in my old schools. I'm trying to say the school isn't like other schools. Or at least, the students aren't, even after discounting the obvious. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you mean. Oh well, whatever then. I want to pursue the idea, but at this point Nomiya arrives. The teacher is wiping sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief and breathing rather heavily. He quickly glances over the room, then settles down a bit. Hello. Apologies for being late. Is everyone present? Good. I must confess I haven't really planned anything for today, as I've been extremely busy lately, but I'm sure we can come up with something entertaining. Anyone have any suggestions? I was thinking we could have a discussion circle since we haven't had one in a while. I at least found the last one magnificently enjoyable. There are some murmurs here and there, but nobody raises their support or against Nomiya. We could delve into various movements of art, or does someone have a good topic in mind? Come on, throw it out there. Doesn't matter if it's silly or odd, we can always cook up something interesting. Nobody seems to be brave enough to make such a suggestion. As the awkward silence refuses to be broken, I lift my hand into the air. That's my boy Hisao. Put yourself out there. Oh, our newest friend seems to have something on his mind. Speak up, my boy, speak up! Well, I don't know about anyone else, but I've always wondered why art exists in the first place. My voice trails off. A silence sets in the room, and nobody makes a follow-up on my meek suggestion. Then the teacher bursts in laughter. Oh, excellent! Very good indeed. Right out of the gate with the big one, huh? Fabulous! Chuckling, he shifts some paper on his desk for a moment. When he's done, he appears to have made some sort of decision. Very well, then. Let us run with this and see where it gets us, shall we? Oh my, even an old fogey like me gets excited when such delicious enthusiasm is present. Oh my, indeed. Sir, put your tongue back. Let me gather my thoughts a moment so I can figure out a good starting point for everyone. For some reason, the teacher seems to be almost literally bursting with excitement. He scribbles a few things down on a loose sheet of paper, then cleans his glasses with the handkerchief. He strikes a pose, then freezes for an overtly dramatic, artistic pause that spans must be half a minute. It's so quiet, I could hear a pin drop. First, let's come up with a few questions that we want answered, such as, what is art? And why does art exist? Anyone have any questions that might be related? I think this is a fantastic discussion. But I think it's going to have to wait until the next one.